Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Meet Dave podcast. Thank you to everyone who's been coming out to shows lately. I've been on the road a ton, so we've had a little bit of a gap here with the episodes, and we got a couple in the can, so they'll be coming out over the next couple weeks, I promise you. But I've been doing some great shows and some fun events. I can't remember, Luis, if I've mentioned about the barbecue and bourbon festival I did in Orlando a while back. If we've done episodes since then.
No, it's been quite a bit.
Dude, that went awesome. It was so amazing. Bourbon tasting, barbecue, and then a comedy show after. I got invited to go to Raleigh and go to a barbecue festival there. And then I did shows at Good Nights. It was a blast. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I did a show at a place up in Northern California called BBQ by Biasotti. And it was a dude who heard me on another podcast, was like, please come do a show at my barbecue restaurant. And I was like, man, I don't know if it makes sense. It's in the middle of nowhere. And then I booked a casino gig kind of up that way. And I look at it and I go, dude, I'll come through if you can do a show on this one particular day. And we put it together and we made it happen. And that's who we're going to talk to today. But if you got something you want me to come out to and it's barbecue related, I'm going to be in Kansas City in a few months. I'm hosting a barbecue restaurant's 20th anniversary. I heard a rumor some pretty cool, old school rock bands are going to be there that I'm excited to meet. I don't know. I'm doing more and more of this outside the box thinking, man, dude, Luis, I got to tell you about this, bro.
What's going on?
Do you remember Chef Binotto who came in studio here?
Yeah.
So I just did an event with him at South Bay Customs where I do a show once a month, and you can get barbecue at that show as well. But this was a different kind of show. We sold a limited amount of tickets. So it was I think we ended up with 30 people. And we did a hour happy hour, but very elevated. There was like smoked cocktails, whiskey cocktails and stuff like that. And then very, not punctual, but like a 1 hour comedy show, right? Okay. So a very precise comedy show. It was awesome. Everyone crushed. And then the comics stuck around afterwards, and everyone that was at the show stuck around. And we had a big like table set up, but like classy, like with not paper Dixie cups and things like that, like a nice table setting, right? And I cooked all the meat for it and then gave it to Chef Binotto, and he made a 5-course, like, I'm telling you, like a fine dining restaurant experience out of it. Like took my pork belly and put it up on a bed of rice and drizzled some like raspberry blah blah on it with some grains on top, like things like that, dude. It was so cool seeing. I did a Wagyu brisket and he put it on like with a chimichurri, and then I made what else did I make? Oh, chicken thighs, smoked chicken thighs, and he put it on like a slaw he made with this really delicious like glaze that he drizzled on it. Dude, it was,
oh my God.
I was worried that I'm like, dude, this is a lot of money for a comedy show. Everyone would have paid more to be there. It was like such an experience, dude. So if you haven't listened to Chef Binotto's episode before, scroll back a couple months and listen to it. He's quite a character, and I'm telling you, he knocked it out of the park on this event. If we do one of these again, you live in the LA area, you should come to it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, run it back because I want to go to that.
Yeah, I should have invited you. My bad. But today, man, I'm super excited. We did an awesome event at this dude's joint as well. It went so fun. Make sure you follow him. Let me make sure I get this right. It's at BBQ by Biasotti, BARBECUE, and then by BY, and then BIASOTTI. So let's get into it. Guys, please meet Tim Biasotti. You know how much we love Bear Mountain Barbecue wood brands around here. It's the only pellet I will put into my smoker. And right now, through July 22nd, they have a deal going on 3 of their flavors. They got a ton of different flavors that you can choose from. But now through July 22nd, their Chef's Choice, their Butcher's Blend, and the Chop House blends, they're rolling the price back from $11.97 to $9.97. So save a few bucks because it's grilling season. It's getting warmer outside. You guys are going to be firing up those smokers more than ever, and this adds up. So you can go to Walmart or shop online at walmart.com and get a deal, take advantage of this. And go to bearmountainbarbecue.com. I don't know if you've checked that out. It's a great resource. You can learn how to pair pellets with different foods, cooking styles. They've got a lot of info, times and levels of heat and the smoke that you want to shoot for. There's recipes, grilling tips, the whole 9 yards. bearmountainbarbecue.com. Go check out Walmart or walmart.com. Get these deals before they're gone. It's going to be going on through July 22nd. Well, I think, the most obvious place to start is we got to talk about the show we just did. We put it together, and let me start there. I'll start there because I think that's important so people know how I know you. You heard on another podcast that I was doing shows at barbecue restaurants, and you were like, I have a barbecue restaurant. I would love for you to come do a show here. And you reached out to me, and I was like, maybe, where are you at? And you were like, middle of nowhere. And I said, what's the name of the town? And you were like, I'm warning you, it's in the middle of nowhere. And it's actually called Middletown.
Yeah, Middletown.
Yeah. And you were right. It's out there, but it's beautiful. What a cool God's country, I think is the only way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice. It's I don't know, about an hour away from Napa, right? And there's actually quite a few wineries out here, and there's a few nice things to do. It's Clear Lake's one of the largest bass fishing lakes in the country. It's often rated number 1, 2, 3 in the country for bass fishing. So there are some cool things here, but it is in the middle of nowhere. Unless you know, you don't know type of thing, you know.
And like I've driven through Northern California before, but normally it's like, the big highways just heading north or to go through Napa. And on that, like the windy roads it took me along all the rivers and lakes to get there, I was like, oh my goodness, dude, this is gorgeous out here. I had no idea.
Yeah, definitely. When people come here, they definitely enjoy it. Last year we had a pretty good show with dueling pianos I was telling you about, and it was a similar conversation. I like to be honest with people. I don't want to sell them like we're a big city and we're going to have a large arena or something, you know, but everyone that comes, they have a really good time and they always want to come back. So it's been pretty successful.
Well, and I'm at this place too, especially with like the barbecue world and everything. Like I want to go places where I'm wanted, like the comedy world is so competitive that most of my career is spent emailing, bookers or comedy clubs and trying to get them to book me. Right. But I'd rather do a show at a barbecue restaurant any day of the week. Cause that's my people, I'm really in love with barbecue, but mostly because the people in barbecue are so great, And so when somebody like actually is asking me to go somewhere, I have a hard time saying no. So we figured it out. We made it work. And I had a gig at a casino not far away. And I said, dude, if we could do it on this one Sunday, I'll stick around and I'll come over and do your show. And you were like, done. And then you sold it out, bro.
Yeah. On the sold out note, people were calling and texting the last few days before. And it was like, nah, like we're sold out. And, to follow up and piggyback on that, everyone that was there said super positive things. They were really excited to have you there, and they're already asking when you're coming back. And I was like, man, that was like yesterday, guys.
Let them breathe
already. It's like, we'll work on something, but it's been a day.
Yeah, for sure. It's like let us enjoy the victory lap of the last one that it went well, and then we'll put another one on the counter. But I'll definitely come back, man. It was fun, and it was outdoors, and I was a little worried because there's a major street right there, so I was a little worried about the sound. And you borrowed a sound system from somewhere and set it up with a little tent, and dude, and it was great. It was awesome. It's like, that's the cool thing about comedy is I don't know if you brought pianos in for the dueling piano guys, but for comedy, all you need is a decent sound system and to set the area up all right. And dude, it was so fun. Like I didn't have to struggle for the people to hear me or like anything like that, dude. It felt intimate, even though, the people were kind of spread out a little bit. It was awesome. I had fun doing it. This is the point.
Yeah, that's good to hear because it was our first comedy show. People have asked about it, but we haven't made it happen. So you were number one. We set it up, and with you being Meet Dave, it felt natural to put you right next to the smoker. I think that you said it was the first time you've been that close. Yeah,
I've done a lot of comedy at a lot of barbecue joints, and that was definitely the first time I'd been set up where the smoke was blowing into me. But dude, it's a beautiful smoker. You have a cool like outdoor vibe there. But you have you do have a I don't know what you call it, a shack. I mean a building where people go in and they can order, and that's where the kitchen is and everything. But a majority of the seating is outside, which is really cool. And it's such a beautiful part of the country, and the weather's not. I mean, you can operate pretty much 12 months, right? Or does it get too cold?
Yeah, we stay open 12 months. And it's treated us well so far. People enjoy it. We got those gazebos, and we got some heaters. So when it gets cold out, we have options for people. And you talked about a good vibe, and that's what we were about. We wanted to set it up to be inviting for people to come and hang out. Whether it's you want barbecue or you want to hear some music, or maybe there's a comedy show, whatever it may be. Like, we wanted it to be a place for the community that's more than just barbecue. We have a lot of those lawn games. I think the mini golf was actually kind of pretty close to you. And then over where we did the food, we had like our Connect Four and, the giant Jenga indoors. We have all the board games and stuff. Sure. It's just a cool place for the community, I feel like.
Well, and you know what I've noticed too, because I've done a good number of these now. And most of them was during a tour. I did a tour where I did 2 months of comedy in barbecue restaurants. So I got pretty good at going into places and being like, oh, let's move these chairs or let's set the backdrop in, and I had stuff with me then because I was driving the whole tour. So we brought lights and brought like a step and repeat backdrop. So, I mean, we had a lot of stuff with us at that point, but regardless, like a comedy club, you really need, and mind you, they're set up for comedy, right? But you got to be really dialed in, man, because people spent money to come out and see you. And if you're not famous, they don't know you. So they're kind of like, hey, validate my decision to spend my paycheck being here tonight. And so many things could derail the mood. Like if the opening act is offensive or not funny, if their drinks are overpriced, if the mozzarella sticks aren't good, and just all these like little things could really derail the vibe of the crowd and make it harder on the comedian. What I found with the barbecue shows, even though we don't have like a professional setup every single place, like the vibe is just so good. People are there for they're rooting for it to be a good time, and like the local guys opened up, and one of them forgot his jokes in the middle and had to like pull out his notes, and he was nervous. And it was great. There was nothing wrong with it. Like people weren't like, oh, he lost us. They were like, come on, buddy, you can do it. And I think that's kind of the power of barbecue too, man. It's just like barbecue puts you in a good mood. It's you're not there to be a curmudgeon.
Yeah, definitely. At that point, I was kind of bringing stuff in and out of the restaurant and kind of squaring things away. And I heard some silence, and I was like, huh.
not a good sign usually.
I was like, and then I did see him with his phone. I was like, uh-oh. But everyone seemed super happy. I heard clapping and cheering before I came out, so it all worked out.
Yeah, totally. So did you grow up in that region up there?
Yeah, sort of. So we were in Middletown, and then I grew up in the Clear Lake area, which is about 15 minutes away. So everything's so close in Lake County. The furthest place away is 25, 30 minutes, easy to get to, not any major highways, super, super mellow. So a lot of times when people are ask me, how'd you get into like Texas style barbecue?
I'm
or
gonna say,
smoking?
like, dude, you grew up near Napa with an Italian last name. How'd you get into Texas style barbecue, bro? Authentic Texas style barbecue.
Yeah. So in 2017, I'm a Raiders fan. That's a hard thing right there. But anyways, we'll get past that. So in 2017, me and a buddy went to the Raiders playoff game in Texas, Houston.
Nice.
That was the first playoff game since I was in high school, maybe. Derek Carr broke his leg like the game before. That was like his year. He was almost an MVP. So it was like we were doing big things, but he broke his leg. Haven't been in the playoffs for like 15 years. We knew we were going to lose, but we were like, you know what? It's been so long. We're going to go. So we flew out to Texas, went to a few barbecue places, and I was like, man, this is amazing. And not just the food, kind of like we talked about before, like just the vibe. You know, you go there, everyone's happy. People are waiting in long lines, but nobody cares. There's families, there's friends, there's just everyone, right?
Yeah.
And then to come back to our small county, and then you know, you try and find something similar, and there's really nothing. So I got into the hobby of barbecuing, you know, doing the like the whole Traegers, and then doing the Webers, and you know, just the everything that everyone starts on, right? And I would post stuff online just for fun, and people were like really digging it, and I started selling plates on the side just because why not? Everyone's asking me. And every time I did it, I'd sell out. So I was like, oh, cool. Got some extra pocket change. And then I told you I was a special ed teacher, and I was in education for 15 years. And while doing that, we had like a coffee shop, and then we did a bunch of different things like making our own menus, walking to grocery stores, teaching kids the road signs, doing the math, making menus. And then we would make a bunch of food, and we would sell it to the staff. We would sell it to the local police station, firefighters, all that type of stuff. And it just kind of blew up. And, you know, I was bringing these kids from middle of nowhere, you know, and to San Francisco, to the Exploratorium. We were going to A's games. We were doing all sorts of stuff because it was just blowing up, and we had money coming in, and I tied everything into like state standards. So like it was educational. My kids were growing with their reading levels, and it was just like an awesome thing.
I love that, but out of context, it could seem like you're running free labor.
Yeah. So like it just, so like the plates on the side was first, and then with the classroom, and then it just grew into this thing. And then like businesses were like, hey man, like, we see you doing this. How about you do it for like our luncheon for 100 staff members? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then they're like, okay, send us like your tax information, and we're going to 1099 you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what's that stuff?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a teacher. I don't know what that stuff is like. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested. And then they're like, well, we could pay you this much. And then I'm like, oh yeah. I'm
interested again.
yeah. Let's do this. So I did one, and then I did another, and then another, and then it snowballed, and we became like the number one catering and barbecue business in the county, like back-to-back years, and it just kept growing. And you know, we had a commissary kitchen through a friend's grocery store, and it just was like to the point where we were having to do stuff every weekend, and it was like, we kind of need our own kitchen because this just isn't real. Like this, we need our own stuff. So we built a restaurant really from what you saw. You know, it was a toy store before I got it, and before that it was like a house, right?
Wow.
So we went in there from ground zero and built it up into a restaurant. And today we did a catering job for 250 people for a 40th anniversary for one of the state's largest geothermal power plants. So it went from like selling out of the garage and with my students to like doing the largest events in our county. So it's pretty wild, you know.
Wow.
It it's crazy how it's all happened. It doesn't seem real sometimes.
So at what point during all that did you graduate up to that offset smoker you have now?
So I had a 500-gallon smoker about 3 or 4 years ago. A good friend of mine had it. It was in his family, and I would use it, for the side jobs and stuff. And then about a year ago, I got that one from a buddy, Chris Hunt with Oak House Barbecue in Sacramento. He does really big things out in Sacramento, and he needed to upgrade. He got a mill scale 1,000-gallon. So he was getting rid of his Red Devil. They're down in Bakersfield. They just had an anniversary recently that I attended. Yeah, I got that about a year ago. It has the Santa Maria on the backside and the 600-gallon on the front side. Shoot, we did 22 tri-tips today. I did 145 sausages. The other day I did 17 briskets. It could do a lot, and it's treated me super well.
Yeah, I mean, the food's awesome. If I haven't said that already, I mean, super authentic. The ribs were great. I had ribs, brisket, and turkey. Turkey is always the forgotten about soldier in the Texas barbecue menu.
Yeah.
And dude, it's just hard to beat smoked turkey. It was so delicious. But I'll tell you, as good as the barbecue was, and I always judge a place on this, because once you start talking about like the top of the top, or like a professional place or the best place in each town, the meat's going to generally be on point. You might have a little, say this is a little better, whatever, but it's all going to be amazing. Right. And I think what sets places apart, though, in general, and people ask, like, what's your favorite place? It's the sides and the sauces and the ambiance for me. And you guys, we already talked about your ambiance. The sides, that mac and cheese was insane good. It was so creamy.
Yeah.
And then your sauce, all the sauces were good, but I really like that. It was like a Carolina Gold kind of sauce that I smothered on everything.
That's funny. So I think I told you about that. So my I lose track of time with COVID. It was like that time didn't even happen, so I couldn't give you a date. But it was during COVID. My in-laws were coming over, and we had a bunch of chicken, and I wanted to barbecue because what else do you do during COVID? So I'm outside barbecuing, and I'm like, I'm going to make a sauce. And I just started grabbing just whatever I had in my pantry, which I have quite a bit of stuff because I mean, you're a barbecue guy, we buy random seasonings all the time.
Dude, my wife keeps telling me to tell people to stop sending me sauce and rubs and hot sauce, whatever. I'm like, babe, what do you want me to do? Like, it's free. They're sending it to us. My cabinet is loaded.
Yeah, exactly. So I threw a bunch of stuff together and lit up the Weber, made the sauce, and then we're eating, and they're like, hey, this is amazing. Like, this is better than anything we could buy from a store. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, what did I put in it again? Yeah. So luckily it was COVID time. So I had time to pull out the paper, and did I put 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon, 3, how many cups? And I just played with it. And what you had is what I came up with when it was all said and done. And it's been really popular. We kind of talked about it back and forth. Like, I get asked constantly about bottling it, and it's like, that's another new process to me. And I'm not sure if that helps me or hurts me, because then people will use it at home rather than coming in to me, because we're such a small community, you know, there's not like hundreds of thousands of people. So I don't know. But my rub, I just got a bunch of bottles and stickers, and I'm getting ready to put my rub in a couple stores, and the sauce might be something down the road, depending on how that plays out.
Yeah, no, I think it can only help, man, to be honest. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be like, I'm not going to go in and have his delicious, smoked turkey and ribs, because I could just put his sauce on these boiled ribs I'm making at home, but
that's true. And at the end of the day, they don't have the mac and cheese, right?
100%, so or the ambiance. And it's such a easy upsell item there, like once you get it figured out, it's pretty easy. So you just have them all there, and then if people come in and they obviously love it, like it gives them an opportunity to spend another $20 on a bottle, you know, at your place.
Yeah, and I get asked it like all the time. So I think that it definitely would sell if it was on the shelf there. So I think it's time to start exploring it.
Yeah. Well, we'll connect you with someone that could. Luis, we've had enough dudes on the podcast, right? Sauce guys and rub guys. Yeah. So
there's plenty.
Yeah. So we'll find someone who can get you some answers on that.
Cool, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. How many different sauces were there? I think I tried 2 or 3.
So I put 2 out. So those are kind of our 2 like popular ones. Like we got the standard traditional sauce, and then we have the gold sauce. So like the poultry, the gold's pretty typical for, and then the standard one. So a lot of barbecue sauces are the same. So I tried to think of how could I make mine different. My favorite fruit is strawberry. So there's some strawberry in there with the sweetness, and then chipotles helps with the smoke.
Nice.
So that's kind of my thing to make it a little bit different than everyone else's. Then we have a Reaper sauce that was in the back. I don't think I let you try that. I should have. And then I have like a binder full of like 10 different sauces I make just with all different flavors. Again, going back to COVID, like that's what I nerded out on, you know, and those are the 2 that kind of came out on top, the ones you had. Yeah.
So then that night I was there, I know it was a special event and it was like a set menu. So people paid for their ticket price, which included a plate of food, and you set it up like buffet style. Everyone come get there. But normally do you have like everything available on the menu at all times? Cause like you mentioned tri-tip and some sausages that you did for that event. Is that stuff always available at the store?
Yeah. So we have a standard menu that's available every day. And then we do the sliced brisket only on Friday and Saturday, just because of the process, you know, because it's just killer.
Exhausting.
Yeah, very much.
Well, dude, I got to come back and try the tri-tip, dude, because I bet your tri-tip with that Santa Maria grill back there, and then just, you know, the central to Northern California is tri-tip Mecca. I bet it's amazing.
Yeah. It was going back to the job earlier today, I got a huge compliment. One of the admin team members came up to me after and shook my hand, and they're like, "Hey, we're from Texas, and every time we go anywhere in California, it's trash. Like, but like we loved your food today." And I was like, "Well, 600-gallon smoker, like it's Texas as it gets out here, you know."
Yeah.
So we had a cool conversation, and it's always nice when you get those compliments from people from like Texas or the southern states, because that's what I'm trying to, you know, do.
Yeah. Well, they eat it all the time. They know what they're looking.
Right.
It's when I cook in, you know, around LA and stuff. A lot of times, like I'll know if something's like subpar or whatever, but I always tell myself like, no one's ever said this is bad, you know, because a lot of times they don't know any different, but people in Texas know different. Like they know like, yo, this isn't supposed to be like this, you know, even though it's probably still good, you know?
Yeah. And when I first opened the restaurant portion, so we would do brisket, and, you know, I'd be like super excited, like, and we would sell like half the amount that we are now because it's so set, like, oh, we're going to get tri-tip. And it's like, no, guys, like, no, brisket. And now it's like, it's caught on and it's caught fire. So I'm pretty excited about that, but it took time.
But I will say tri-tip has become my go-to for a lot of events and stuff here in town. Because like you said, the process, like to me, I love tri-tip. It's so delicious. And brisket obviously is a headliner, a showstopper. But the tri-tip is caught up to me where I feel like I make it really well. And I'm like, the 2 hours it takes to make a tri-tip versus the 12 hours it takes to make a brisket, and the trimming process on the brisket versus the trimming process on the tri-tip. And I'm just like, man, the margin for error that you have to knock it out of the park on this versus this, just everything. I'm like, man, the tri-tip is so much easier on all this. I mean, you were saying you're coming in today off a couple hours sleep because you were doing briskets.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The tri-tip is so much more convenient. Have you bought the tri-tip that aren't peeled ever and cooked it like a brisket?
I have bought the tri-tips that weren't peeled, but I just cleaned them up.
So some people actually make those like briskets. I've did it a few times, and you know, being from California, it felt like a no-no, right?
Yeah.
But I tried it, and it came out a lot better than I expected. And it's like less than half the time than a brisket would take.
So you leave all the fat and everything on it?
So you kind of treat it like a brisket. You'll get it like, and it'll have all the fat on it, and you trim it a little bit.
The silver skin or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, trim it similar to what you would with brisket, but since you're going to leave it on for a longer time, you'll leave more fat, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, you just cook it like a brisket. Cook it until it's about 160 or the desired look that you get, 165. Wrap it and do the same deal. And when it's all said and done, it's fairly similar.
Really?
If you gave it to somebody who doesn't know barbecue, they might think it is brisket.
Wow. And you take it up to 200 degrees and then just let it rest?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to try that this weekend. I never knew you could do that.
And it'll be about half the time. So like if you ever wanted like that brisket vibe, but not the long brisket cook,
interesting,
you could do that. Yeah.
Well, that would have been great information. Also, like a couple of years ago when tri-tip was so cheap, because no one knew about it like down here, you know, and now it's got a little popular around the country. So tri-tip's almost more expensive than briskets is now per pound.
Yeah. I went and bought a case this last weekend, and I was talking to my wife about it, and it was like, I just bought a case for a little over double what I used to just a couple years ago. Yeah. And it's like, when you're buying, you know, like 100 pounds, we're talking about hundreds of dollars. It's like, dude, it hurts.
Sure. I mean, the necessity to a restaurant to like pivot and just like figure it's like, I don't know how it makes my head spin just like thinking about you guys navigate that kind of stuff where you're like, you got everything figured in, you got prices all locked in. And then it's like, oh, there's a chicken shortage. So then chicken's twice as much or whatever.
Yeah. And it does seem like every other week there's a chicken shortage or something happened at this farm with these cows or, you know, gas prices just went up 50 cents. So, you know, the trucks need the gas. So then everything else skyrockets. So it's like, it's hard to find a price and keep it there. And because one week you might be winning big and the next week you're like, I hope I break even. You know?
Yeah. What was it? And just recently out here in California, they had a problem with like Prop 19, I think it was called, right? With the pork.
Yeah. So that was really tough. I think the first started last, I want to say it was last July, which was tough because it was like middle of the summer and it was like, hey, I think it's Prop 12. Prop 12 is coming and all these hogs things are going to change all the rules. So like a lot of the stores were depleted. Then it got better, then it got bad again, and then it got better, and then it got bad again. So it's tough. It affected the prices and also availability.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. And I walked into the Costco where I always buy my pork butts. And they just didn't have any bone in. It was all just either bone out and super expensive.
Yep.
And I looked into it and I'm like, man, the thing that's a shame is that people voted on this and it affected people in California voted for this Prop 12, probably not knowing anything about it or what the fallout would be. Just because, like, you know, if you see on a ballot, it says, would you like animals treated more humanely? Of course, yes. Like people are just going to like absentmindedly go, yeah, but they don't know what that means. Like, you know, so now places that were already treating their animals humanely also had to now jump through a lot of hoops for their facilities. Their facilities had to be outfitted a certain way. So that just drove prices up all over the country because they're not going to, these hog farmers in North Carolina, they're selling to a state like California. That's a huge, consumer, a lot of population out here. So it affected it across the whole country. And it's like, man, if only, see, they always have these commercials on TV for like milk and pork, the other white meat and marketing campaigns like that. This is the kind of thing they should do marketing campaigns for. Just like, hey, there's going to be something on your ballot. Vote however you want to vote, but here's some information. Yeah. This is what it means, you know?
Yeah, it's going to really change stuff.
Hope you don't mind paying a lot for bacon.
Bacon was non-existent for a little bit there. That was tough.
That's not a world I want to live in.
Right, me either.
That would get me.
on
That gets me out to the polling more than any of this crap with the presidents and politicians. You tell me the price of bacon's I'll put $100 in my gas tank. But if you're telling me there's gonna be a bacon shortage, I'm gonna start campaigning, dude.
We got some real problems now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, last year when the whole prop started becoming a thing, it was shortly after we first opened our restaurant, and people were loving the ribs. So I was like, okay, we're going to do a big rib special. We're just going to sell off whole racks, and we're going to do it pretty cheap just to keep building momentum with opening and keep growing our name, keep the community happy. So I was like, all right, threw out a pretty good price, went to the store, no ribs. Went to the next store, no ribs. Went to the next store, no ribs. And I'm like, oh my God, I already made all these posts. I already got the word out.
Yep.
People are super excited. A lot of people pre-ordered. And I'm like, there is no ribs like at all of my go-to stores. So I had to go like to a bunch of different cities and just like mix match and get what I could. And we threw it together. But it was like, this is way more difficult than it should be.
Yep. Are you listening, politicians? Are you listening? Joe Biden and Donald Trump, whoever runs on the pro-pig platform, we want our bacon prices lowered, and that's how you get our vote. Forget gas, forget unemployment rates. We want affordable bacon.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to have a debate at the end of the month. I think that we need to get this in there.
Yeah.
Like that needs to be a topic for sure.
Who was that guy that was famous? His name was like Ken Bone, because he asked a question at the town hall meeting with the president or at the debate or whatever. You just see me like everyone's asking about like peace in the Middle East and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I got a question. What are you going to do to help the barbecue community?
I think you should do that in like your meat swimsuit and stuff that you talk about too. Like just really go all out.
I like it. Also, by the way, Ken Bone would be a great name for a guy asking that question.
Yeah.
It just says under me, meet Dave. Hell yeah, I love that, man. Well, dude, I'm glad you're kicking ass there. And it's a little bit of a family affair too, right? Because I saw your sister was there helping out.
Yeah. So Nika, who you met when you first got there, that's my sister-in-law. And the one at the end of the night, that's my sister.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so both of them were there. And then my mother-in-law has helped a lot along the way the last few years. And my father-in-law is kind of like a handyman, and he owns a landscaping business, so he's helped a lot. And then my brother-in-law has helped a lot. He to kind of get my name out, to go back to where we started. He helped by letting me sell out of his garage a few times. And then, of course, you know how it is with wives, holding down the fort, watching the kids. So
sure.
It's absolutely full on family. And especially being in our first year in the restaurant portion, we're just trying to learn the trends and stuff. So it's like super small staffed, all amongst us family, the most it can be. And we're, seeing where it takes us, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, it's been full on family team making it happen for sure.
That's awesome, man. What kind of wood are you using in that smoker up there?
We use oak. We try and keep it as traditional to Texas as possible, and that's big out there.
Yeah, it's not native to where we're at. Like, how are you getting it? You just got a supplier?
Yeah. So there's quite a bit of oak out here, as we were saying, the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
There's a lot of trees and
That's why I was thinking about it. I go, man, you guys have so much forest up there. Like,
yeah. So there's pretty good access to oak out here. And my father-in-law that I just mentioned, being a landscaper, he's got access to lots of fallen trees and such. So that's been a help.
I see what's going on here. Your father-in-law is going into places and going, that oak's got to come out. Why? It's been here for 100 years. It's compromised. I'll tow it out for you.
Yeah, no problem. We'll figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, we do the oak, and we haven't had trouble getting it so far to this point, and it gets the job done for sure. Like I said, keep it traditional.
Got you. I don't know why I have such a hard time pronouncing your last name. I think maybe it just like it trips me up because it's not like a traditional sounding barbecue name. It's like a fancier, like Biasotti.
Yeah, you got it that time.
Biasotti. All right.
Yeah, and going to the name, it was we were cooking out of the garage and just messing around, and my brother-in-law was helping, and he's like, "So what's your name gonna be?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. This is just for spare money. We're selling it to friends and a couple people on Facebook. Like it's not that serious, They're getting barbecue from Tim, And then he's like, "Well, just call it Triple B." And I'm like, "Triple B, like what's that?" And he's like, "Barbecue by Biasotti." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "I guess, man. Yeah. Like I'm not trying to put too much thought into it anyways, and we're just here making some spare money amongst our family." And then my buddy who owns a grocery store that was letting me do his commissary one day pulls up with a box full of shirts with a bunch of logos on it, and it says "Barbecue by Biasotti." And I was like, "Well, I guess I'm all in on this name."
Yeah, no changing now.
Yeah, I got my logo and I got a box full of shirts.
I love it, dude. Well, you see, I'm representing today. Yeah. I got my barbecue Triple B hat and shirt on.
Yeah.
And then for people here, if you didn't see already, do you see the back of the shirt, Luis?
Oh, wow. Body by Biasotti.
No, body by brisket.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, it is the most accurate shirt you've worn.
It's pretty, it fits me for sure. Yeah, that's great, dude. Well, Tim, dude, you're kicking ass. I can't wait to come back again. Thank you for inviting me up there. I'm so glad it worked out, and I will be back, and we will do another show there. And I'd like to do a show actually where I bring some of my buddies with me, and I'll just, instead of headlining it, I'll like MC it. And then have like them each do like 20 minutes a piece or something. And then that way I love sharing like this world with my friends. It would be really fun. Like, an excursion for the comedians.
Yeah. Yeah. People in our area, like I said, they're super excited and they want new things and stuff. So they would be super open to that. And I know we would sell it out again. So let's do it.
Hell yeah, buddy. Well, you got anything else, any other events coming up or anything you want to plug, or just people should come in the store and see you?
No, just, follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram, Barbecue by Biasotti. We keep up with all of our weekly specials and our caterings and events that we're up to. Come on down, see us any day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And see what we're about,
If you're doing a Napa trip, just plan on, sticking around for an extra half a day. And it's worth going up for the drive. Like the thing that was cool is you could drive up there, you could have lunch at the barbecue spot, and then you have this pretty drive down, and then you end up at the top of Napa, like St. Helena, and then you can work your way down that Highway 29 of all the wineries. I think that would be a perfect little excursion for anyone planning on going to wine country.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, with the wine, so a few of my friends have some wineries out here, and we actually sell a lot of grapes to the Napa Valley. So a lot of the wines out there, I can't remember. I believe it was they said that they send their grapes, and a lot of the Napa wineries put 49% Lake County wine grapes, and then like 51% of their grapes. And then because they got the larger percentage, they could still consider it Napa Valley wine. Oh. So we have some pretty good wineries out here, and it's the same exact grapes.
Man, you should do an event where you have a wine tasting and you pair like some barbecue with some wine, and you go through like 4 or 5 courses. Man, I'd drive up for that.
Yeah. Labor Day weekend, we just booked with a large winery in the Napa Valley for some barbecue. So we're getting into the wineries. I'm hoping that we could do some stuff like that. It's coming to that, I think.
Killer, dude. Wow. Yeah, I'm all in on that idea. That sounds great. Well, man, dude, thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate you, brother. And can't wait to do it again. Thank you again for inviting me out. I really appreciate you and admire what you're doing up there.
Yeah, and thank you again, man. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got to meet you, have a drink with you, and now do the podcast, man. Thank you a lot.
Heck yeah. And I'll tell you, even if the event didn't go as well as it did, I'd still want to come back, because the one thing I've learned about Middletown is that the people are awesome. Because I sold more rubs than I ever have at like a gig ever. Like I went through 2 boxes of rubs, and people the next day were already cooking with it and tagging me and stuff and saying, thanks for coming to town. This is delicious. And dude, it was so fun. Just the quality of person that came out to that show. So, please tell them all I said thank you. Individually, I would like you to call them and tell them that. Thank you.
No, like I said, like people were sincerely super grateful. Like I got a lot of messages and people were very happy to have you.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll do it again next time, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.